3 of FPX versus RNG. We saw FPX have a dominating lead in both games 1 and 2, but RNG in game 1 was able to just sneak it away towards the late game with some beautiful team fighting off the back of Xiaohu's Gwen, which for some reason doesn't seem to be a priority pick at this point in time, with RNG opting for the Lee Sin. Historically, this Lee Sin has mostly been in the top lane. Looks like RNG just want to stack their composition with as many of the biggest, most dominating picks in the game with that hover of Nocturne, but opting for the Olaf instead. Will they go for the Gwen here is the question. I like that they are picking away the Lee Sin from the clutches of Doing B, but FPX was very rapid fire. Renekton and Diana picks. Now, going into the third pick, will they opt for a support selection here? They could, of course, look to get the Gwen. This will most likely be a mid lane Renekton. Not really a Doing B special. He is more of the Kled, Lee Sin, Akali type of player. But fortunately, opting for the Kai'Sa 3 games in a row so far. That champion has been an absolute pleasure to watch. I love watching Kai'Sas in the LPL. Just seems to be flooded with them as they fly in. Not so much in this season, to my great dismay, but what else can we do, I suppose, as FPX staying true to their game 2 strategy, just really target banning the AD carry champion pool as much as possible, trying to pinch it as much as they can. Gala is really under siege here on the side of RNG as they just ban out a Nautilus. Of course, the Leona is still available, as is the set, as is the Rel, honestly, that did come. Wait, I don't think the Rel came in last game. I don't particularly remember. A lot has happened since yesterday. Now let's see what goes on here as the Kongmo ban yet again comes in from FPX. This does leave up the Kalista should RNG try and make for an early game tempo team composition. They of course do have the option for Ezreal is out. Oops. They of course do have the option for an Ophelia Storm Kench perhaps. However, that might not be so strong as RNG's solo laners now are looking quite good, playing around way at the moment in time. Interesting with the Rakan ban because Leona is of course still available, as well as Alistar, not to mention of course Rel, which we have seen a lot less of, and it looks like just as I say this, it is hovered. I wouldn't really expect anything except for an engaged support, and Rel is about as engagey as it gets, I suppose. Now, on the side of RNG, let's see what they pick here for their AD carry. They do of course have the Aphelios, they have the Kalista, they have the Xayah, they do have the Tristana as well, of course, all available to them. Haven't seen so very much Tristana. In the spring split, it was pretty much Tristana, and if it wasn't Tristana, it was Kai'Sa, and really nothing really much graced the bottom lane champion pool. But for now, it looks like Tristana will be the pick. Leona is a pretty decent pairing with the Tristana. It's interesting that RNG were the ones who opted to ban out the Nautilus. I suppose the shared champion between Crisp and Ming. Nautilus is, of course, the most played champion by Ming in this and the last split, just overall career-wise. Now, on side of FPX, let's see what they opt for their final solo lane pick. The Gwen is still available, and the presence of the Kled, if this is locked in, this is most definitely going into the mid lane, meaning it's going to be a blind man versus a Renekton in the top lane. Meanwhile, we're going to see a Kled versus a Karma, a utility mid laner, followed by an engage, run it in bruiser for FPX. Looking at both these compositions, it's not very hard to see the FPX will have an extremely effective dive composition, while RNG do have a very strong mid-jungle 2v2 to play through for the early game. Gala also will have insane siege potential, and this game is going to be very much dictated, and it's very possible that this game will be completely dictated by the first 15 to 20 minutes because, of course, RNG do have a composition that does fall off a little bit with the Lee Sin and the Olaf, not to mention Karma also is not so great in a late game situation, while FPX don't really have the most optimum scaling composition either. Diana doesn't do badly in the mid to late game, and neither does a Kai'Sa. But then again, Tristana scales pretty well too. So overall, the scaling is only slightly leaning in favor of FPX, but chances are both of these teams are not thinking at all of a late game. The late game would be a surprising afterthought. I'm pretty sure that they are looking to close this game out pretty much around the 30-minute mark, maybe even before. FPX look set for a late invade into RNG's jungle, though if I'm going to be honest, I sincerely doubt that, as their level 1 isn't particularly strong, but it looks like they're going to try for either way. We've been spotted out by that pixel bushword and eventually decide, wait a second, what are we doing, as they buggy out of here. Nice little bit of intuition leads them to sweep away the remnants of vision in bot side river. As Wei did get a leash, will have an accelerated start, while Tian does not get a leash. While he is going to be able to match the clear pretty decently with the AoE damage of his Crescent Strike, chances are that he will not finish his clear first. Moving towards the bot side is the jungler for RNG. Looking at the waves, I expect both of the junglers to kind of path upwards, considering this is what I would expect to be the most volatile matchup amongst the two. Really don't expect too much to go down in the bottom lane. In fact, I put Crisp at a bit of a disadvantage, because while he cannot jump in wherever and whenever he pleases, he kind of needs to dismount and then remount and use the flip in order to engage, like we see over here, charging forward with the empowered W. They did hit level 2 first, the bottom side of FPX, which allows them to step forward quite aggressively. And interestingly enough, Gala and Ming have the 9 CS you would expect them to require in order to get to the next level, but they were not quite yet at level 2, meaning that FPX did manage to zone them ever so slightly from the first wave, at least from the first wave and a half. Looks like Wei is already pathing towards bot side. There's an assist me ping towards there, and FPX are pushed up quite far. It looks like LWX will get a ward out just in time, but he face checks straight into Wei. The first Undertow comes in as the track repel LWX using his flash as well as his heal, and it will probably escape as a result. But RNG have identified a weak point now in the armor of FPX, and will they be able to stack this wave? It's a bit more tricky when you have a Tristana with the explosive shot, of course, but it is not entirely impossible, as the next wave has already made its way down. Gala just needs to make sure he doesn't push this wave all too quickly, as FPX make a quick reset, trying to get as much items as possible in case a dive does come through. Tian not really in the position to help out his team while being in the top side. Of course, an early game Diana isn't exactly the most threatening of forces to step foot out of a jungle, but his presence would definitely be missed, as already Wei is staying around the bot side, just clearing out his crowd camp. Plenty of mana to spare, as Xiaohu is just getting absolutely wrecked towards the top side. Tian could rotate up if he wanted to, as a wave is kind of building, but it looks like the wave will crash before it gets a chance to build, as both Wei and Ming have made their way into the tri-bush. It looks like Wei not liking what he sees, channeling up his recall. Tian was making his way down as well. Both junglers even in terms of CS, but Wei has yet to get his recall off up until now and was behind on tempo. Did he manage to steal away any camps? I don't think so. 20. Actually, yeah, he did. I think. Wait, did he? It's 26. 4 times 6. That's 24. And then 20. Okay, yeah. He didn't steal away anything. Everything was cleared out, and the respawn has just come down for Tian, who I think was spotted out by a true series of wards. In the mid lane, doing B, nothing that he's not used to, is managing to keep up in CS very well against the Karma in spite of the constant harassment. Meanwhile, on the top side, it looks like the two bruises are just having at each other. Very nice side step coming out from Nuguri, and now Xiaohu finds himself in a bit of a uncomfortable position. Flashes available for both top laners, and the Ruthless Predator has come off of cooldown. Nuguri does have a fully stacked rage bar, but both Wei and Ming have rotated up towards the top side. Ming dangling a little bit behind, but that ward did spot out both the cow as well as the axe swinging berserker. Will they care? Doesn't look to be the case, as Crisp has found his way up. Tian is in the area as well. In the mid lane, looks like Doingby is going in on to Crying running low onto mana, will not be able to participate in this fight as Nuguri flashes away from a very beautiful WQ combo coming in from Ming, and just like that, I think that has stymied any of RNG's potential aggression, as a Call the Meek just clears the wave. And nothing in this top side to contest for. A little bit early, about 2 minutes and 30 seconds before, as a Hex Slash is being channeled. Chris is about to be pounced on by all 3 members of RNG, as he is indeed. And what can the rest of FPX do but watch, I suppose, as Nuguri jumps in with the Dominus in tow. Xiaohu is being focused down. Flash comes out, is ignited out, but Chris in the backline is about to be taken out by an Undertow, as Nuguri unable to catch up to both Ming and Xiaohu. And as a result, they will escape. But across the board, Doingby is still getting some work done. It looks like he caught Crying on a rotation to try and run up and save his team. Unfortunately, that was not necessary, and his misposition does cost him his life, but Wei has found himself behind Doingby, who just scoots right past him with the E, and just like that, a 1-for-1 across the board, FPX in an 800 gold lead at the current moment in time as Gala flashes forward into LWX under tower. What was that? Whoa, and the explosive does nearly kill him. One more auto attack would have led to LWX taking a tumble, but Gala absolutely just going at it as we see here. Doingby starting out this fight with a health disadvantage, but that soon quickly turns into an advantage as she just continues to beat Crying down, unable to just peel Doingby off of him. Too much mobility with the double dashes, didn't even need to use his flash either. As Gala, I respect the attempt. I respect the attempt. As you know, solo play was made in mid lane. You want to try and get your team ahead. You feel a bit of pressure. Gala, of course, after wait, hold on. Xiaohu is now getting face checked by Nuguri. No ultimate available for the Crocodile, while the Dragon's Rage is available, but it looks like it will not be used. Nuguri does have the item advantage and a pretty huge CS lead, mounting to about 20 right now. But looks like a lot of action is going to be happening in the bot side, so we're going to have to shift our attention as in comes the ward hop. But Nuguri is just happily taking the fight with his Iron Spike whip. And despite how low Xiaohu keeps on getting in this lane, seems like Nuguri is always just a little bit away from getting a kill. But the mobility, sustain, and damage coming out from Xiaohu is enough to keep him alive. Perhaps Nuguri is just worried, not knowing where at all Wei was until this moment in time where he's caught on the bot side pixel bush. So far, Xiaohu definitely not having a very enjoyable lane up in top against the Crocodile, against the most banned champion in the LPL, against a pretty much historically LPL-esque pick in the Renekton. Some people might not agree with its potential as a bunch of pings are going down towards the bot side. Has RNG managed to build a wave, and are they looking to crash it down into LWX, potentially looking for a kill, as this aggressive pushing should let him realize that there is potential for this. Doingby in the mid lane is being harassed down as Tien is making his way, skirting the edges of the vision top side. He has yet to be spotted, and he will be behind both Crying and Wei, very deep behind enemy territory, starting up the blue buff, having no clue at all that Wei is just around the corner, kind of expecting them to swap positions right now as Wei is going to enter his own jungle but not even realize that the blue buff has been taken from him, realizing it only now as Wei is spotted out. Nuguri and Xiaohu are still tussling it out as the Dominus is procced as Dragon's Rage kicks him towards the tower. Nuguri trying to buy as much time as possible as Tien comes through the tower itself from their own jungle, and Wei is absolutely disintegrated by the Moonfall, gravity over everything else, and the bot lane catastrophe continues to unfold for RNG as Gala falls to the collective might of Crisp and LWX. Across the board, wins everywhere, and this is definitely not what you want to see coming out of RNG. With the Karma Olaf combination that is really supposed to pop off and spike around the 1 item mark, but still have a very strong and stable early game so far, Wei has not really been able to get too much done as the kills go 4 in favor of FPX gold lead. 4,000 in favor of FPX at 9 minutes into the game, and that's only going to balloon further with this Rift Herald going into their hands. Top tower only has 2 playthings, and 1 Rift Herald later it will just take a tumble, it will rumble, and it will fall. It will definitely crumble too. Now, quick reset coming in here from FPX, looking at the state of the map. Dragon is still available, but neither team seem too particularly interested in that. And I see what happens over here as Crisp actually does only have his dismount ability and somehow gets past Ming, who was not able to use his Pulverize or his hit, but very nice flash coming from LWX, repositioning and using his ultimate to close the distance. At this point, Ming really has nothing left, is just a walking 2-legged upright cowman, Minotaur-ish champion, and really could do nothing as Gala was just absolutely assassinated. Very nice plays coming out from LWX, repositioning with the flash and then using his ultimate to close the distance right in front of Gala and being pushed instead into the tower, into a wall, out of harm's way and into a very safe spot. Now, FPX seem to be preparing for this dragon, trying to defend their vision as much as possible, but in the mid lane, Cry is being absolutely ran at as he's forced to flash over the wall. Unfortunately, Doingby was pushed into that direction at the same time as Doingby goes deep under tower, will not be able to tank the 3 tower hits that do hit him as a re-engage coming in from Crisp. The Moonfall comes in, does suck in 1 person, but the ultimate corresponding does not hit anybody. LWX and FPX, will they continue to besiege this bottom lane? Looks like RNG are very set on giving it up, and by the pathing, it looks like FPX will also definitely pick up this kill. In the top side, the constant struggle between the two continues as Nuguri balloons his CS lead by 40 at this point. Xiaohu not having as many bad games as you would expect from an incumbent into the top lane. However, this game is most definitely one of those few and far between rough times as Tian is making his way towards bot side, does not have his ultimate available. Nuguri dashing over the wall, just baiting out Xiaohu. Doesn't know that Wei is there still, I do believe, as he was just trying to protect himself from a future gank. Little did he know that that future gank was actually just around the corner, camping in that tri-bush. Very nicely done. So far, gold lead still at a comfortable 4,000 in favor of FPX. Now RNG, don't get me wrong, they aren't completely screwed at this point in time, maybe except for Xiaohu. Xiaohu really a entire item down onto Nuguri. Nuguri doesn't have even tier 1 boots, I suppose, but Xiaohu only has tier 2 boots, 2 starting items, 3 starting items if you include refillable potions, and a long sword. The man is in a very painful situation, and I'm pretty sure there is no play you can make towards top side that can really allow him to recover from that. As look at that, Nuguri is just going under his tower, almost completely ignoring him and just chunking it out further. They're not even gonna need Rift Herald, as Doinbi jumping in right now onto Wei, onto what should be the strongest member of RNG at this point in time. Moonfall is available, as is the ultimate, as they're being engaged on. Surprisingly, Tian is just backing away, expecting Chris to make it out of his fight by himself. Xiaohu teleports towards the top side as the Dominus is popped. Nuguri looking for a dive. Tian was already in motion. Looks like they predicted the top lane TP as the flash comes in for the stun. Unfortunately, he gets kicked away immediately, but the Moonfall is there as well. Nuguri tanking up every single tower shot in that dive. And really, there wasn't too much to say about that. Xiaohu didn't stand much of a chance as his Iron Spike Whip was the only item available. Doinbi, meanwhile, in the mid lane is nearly going to get rooted up, but uses his ultimate perfectly to stymie the aggression from RNG. In order to continue, Wei needs to flash in front of him, but now looks like Doinbi is being a little bit greedy, stepping forward with his Gore Drinker. But tower will fall in favor of FPX. Now that is a bit of a rarity, as generally RNG are the ones, according to the stats, between the two teams to get the first blood as well as the first tower kill. And while first blood did go in their favor, the first tower does fall to Nuguri. Now let's see what FPX can do to transition into a further lead. Already the gold lead is 6,000 in favor of FPX, and that gold is of course mainly on Nuguri, who is right now 3,000, about 2 to 3,000 gold ahead of his counterpart. In fact, across the board, every single lane is behind. The only champions that are even in terms of gold with their respective positions are the supports right now. As Tian, fully aware of the fact that Wei is in that bush, that ward spotting him out, and Wei now only realizing that he was actually sitting on top of vision this entire time. Looks like some synchronized recalls are coming through for RNG. Are they preparing for an objective? There really is nothing on the map for the next minute, 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. I don't remember what the pale hourglass indicates, but Rift Herald will be the next objective, probably, that both these teams are looking to contest. I think Dragon priority is going to continue to climb as time goes by, but FPX now securing themselves a nice little foothold of vision in the bot side of RNG's jungle, even looking perhaps for a potential dive as 3 members are bot side. Tian showing himself, letting it be known that he is down here. Wei, on the other hand, is in the top side, will not be able to contribute to this fight, will not be able to push FPX from their relentless assault onto the side of RNG as they begin to lose outer tower after the outer tower. The only thing remaining is the Rift Herald charged mid lane, as Nuguri, an attempt was kind of weakly threatened onto his life, but really, I don't know if he's particularly scared of an Olaf or the Slice and Dice didn't actually make it through, as the Skull the Meek does come in, as well as the Ruthless Predator. Looks like the Slice and Dice does come through eventually. The charge is coming in, Doinbi missing everybody, but Crisp is in the air as well. This is a 2v3 situation as Crisp is kicked out of the fight. And it looks to me as though, I honestly thought that Nuguri could hold his own again in a 1v2 situation, but I suppose in a 1v1 into a 1v1 situation, not so comfortably, as Wei actually, with the Gore Drinker to match, able to easily pretty much solo out the top laner of of FPX, sorry. As in the bot side, Gala is at least getting something back for his team across the board. So RNG, with little baby steps, is making their way back into this game. Gold lead now has been shrunk to a 5,000 gold lead as opposed to the 6,000 that it was previously. Crisp is, however, hovering and skulking around the bot side towards mid as Rift Herald signals the fall of the last outer tower on the side of RNG. We take a quick look again at what objectives are remaining on the map. Dragon is spawning in a second time, but there is no vision really established by the side of RNG, only doing their darndest to clear out whatever they can from their own side of the map, as Crisp doesn't really have many wards available to him, but Tien not going to give RNG any time to get into position or to even prepare for this, as he already starts out the dragon. Is going to fall, take a tumble, and it looks like RNG are perfectly alright with this, and it will be a... What dragon is it? There we go. It'll be an Ocean Dragon game. Quite good in terms of combat stats, as Doomby clearing out the wave. Yeah, oh my goodness, Xiaohu is still not done yet with his mythic item. He's really taken a very rough... He's gotten a real bad beat right now, is all I can say. As FPX, with all the outer towers out, let's see what they opt to do. They can, of course, just look to 1-3-1 and use their Kled, of course, to come in from the sides with a nice little flank. Does have the charge available. And this is really the point at which FPX kind of hit their stride, hit their peak, when it gets to the 2-item point. Now RNG are going to have to do their darndest, are going to have to are going to have to buckle down and really give a real good try to hold off from the onslaught that FPX can just unleash upon them like a torrent, like whitewater rapids rolling down the bubbly hills, I suppose. As grouped up, FPX are a huge threat right now. Gala is managing to keep up decently in terms of CS. Unfortunately, he does not have the kill that Aldabex has on him, which means that he will of course be slightly behind in terms of items, as in the top side. Doomby is doing his his impersonation of a slippery eel, and it looks like FPX with a bunch of their players recalling will be calling off the aggression ever so slightly. Baron is spawning in the next minute and 40 seconds time. And let's see what we expect to see here. So, RNG, with Xiaohu finally finishing his God Drinker, has kind of missed the time where he is the strongest champion on the Rift. In fact, that time will probably never return at this point. So I suppose we have to look past that. So for Crying, there really isn't very many things you want to shield up. It's really just Wei, and if Wei gets insta-gived by perhaps Gravity or the rest of FPX beings in this surrounding position, as Ming jumps in onto Nuguri. Nuguri not even scared enough to pop the dominance as the teleport is coming in. That is Doomby. The charge is going to be available as a very late teleport is coming in from Xiaohu. Doomby going a little bit heavy under the tower. 3-man, 4-man clumped up as a nice kick was attempted onto Tien, but the rest of RNG are being engaged on Moonfall, not even required, as the bottom side of RNG do get incinerated. In fact, there is no one left standing as Gala tries to make something work but is stunned up. Eventually the Moonfall coming through, not even the damage portion required, as RNG utterly destroyed under the safety of their tier 2 tower. Really no one on the side of FPX going down with the exception of Crisp. The double bruiser frontline was just too much, dealing too much damage, being too tanky, having too much sustain with the double God Drinkers. And right now, FPX, I mean, they were already in control of the game, but right now, let's just see what happens here. As I like what Xiaohu was going for here, trying to engage onto Tien, but meanwhile, in the bottom side, Ming Crying and... was that Wei? Yeah, Ming Crying and Wei were absolutely just ran down upon, and Wei manages to weave a very nice undertow through the 3 members of FPX who were in front of him. But I mean, the ultimate coming on top for Tien there was just in case, I suppose. And yeah, that was Doom Nation, if not anything else. Now, even Crying, who is doing decently in terms of CS, I suppose, and has some of the cheapest items in the game in his build path, that being the Chem Tank Purifier as well as the Shredder's Revelry, is actually still not yet at his 2-item power spike. While if we would just get to the items real quick, FPX's bruisers, I think, are very comfortably working towards their third item outside of boots. So that's just to highlight right now how behind, if the gold lead doesn't highlight that enough, ballooning now to a whole 10,000 gold as Baron is now on the map. Dragon is spawning in a minute's time in the bot side, trying his best to get Nuguri out of here, trying to stymie his aggression as much as possible as Tien and Chris start up the Baron. TP coming out from Nuguri. Bunch of pings are coming down. There is still vision in the river, in Pixel Bush by RNG, but Doingby is being engaged onto now by Xiaohu. Xiaohu trying to be as much of a nuisance as possible. And if you can take one player out of the fight this whole time, just distract Doingby, he will be actually doing his part perfectly well. FPX taking some decent damage as Ming jumps in, is in a 1v4 situation, as is Doingby. But I think Doingby is a lot more tanky than he is, especially with the God Drinker, as Ming takes a tumble. Chris with the re-engage as the Moonfall comes through. The rest of RNG disappears. Gala getting out of the fight with just a sliver of HP. Killer Instinct is not available, but it looks like he could potentially be sniped out by the Void Seeker, as here it comes. Nope, into the wrong entrance was it shot, as RNG try as they may. There's pretty much no coming back from this 12k gold lead now. 2 items finally coming in for Crying, the player you'd expect to have the most items at this point in time. And as mentioned, even the jungler of FPX is now very comfortably almost completed with his 3rd item outside of boots. A dire situation as I have ever seen, I suppose, as FPX now taking every neutral objective on the map, preparing themselves, gearing themselves up, fully equipping themselves for what looks to be the final push of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a true honor, but I am calling it right here. RNG are going to need nothing short of 2.5 miracles in order to get back from this kind of deficit. And I mean, where is your damage gonna come from? Forget the fact that FPX does outdamage you with their double bruisers. How are you going to be able to kill these bruisers? You need a Lord Doms and perhaps an IE on Gala right now, who has just scraped by with his Phantom Dancer just so, ever so barely. In fact, LWX going for the Serpent's Fang as a second item now. Looks like he's working towards a rapid fire cannon. This is definitely not a kind of build that you regularly see coming out of a Kaisa, as he needs to be careful, could get picked. Don't get me wrong, there are still ways for RNG to get back into this game, but I'm saying that even one pick on a key target like you'd imagine LWX to be might not actually change too much, as Doingby sieges down the tier 2 top tower by his lonesome, being shadowed by Tien. RNG, they need to get a pick onto Tien and maybe LWX, and then recall, heal, hope FPX, the remainder of FPX stay and run at them. But right now, Nuguri and Doingby look not interested in the least with the champions, more interested, infatuated, and focused in on the towers instead, as Crying at this point in time cannot even wave clear, as in comes LWX into the back line. Down goes Gala, and with him, I think the hopes of RNG go down. There's a nice stopwatch coming in from LWX, saving him from the fight. Crying is trying his best to just support his team, but right now, Xiaohu is the only one in there. Wei is down. The only person left is Ming, as the double support combo comes through. It looks like they will be taken down as Ming tries to save his mid laner, and he will manage to, forcing himself to flash towards the safety of his fountain. Nuguri healing more damage than he is taking, is just stepping forward, and not a single casual. Oh wait, never mind. LWX did take a tumble. And while Ming can be extremely annoying for both a Kled and a Renekton, it doesn't seem to matter, as triple inhibs, that definitely marks the end here. Gala has respawned. RNG never want to give up, as their motto, as their catchphrase does inspire, will be able to hold on to this last and final inhibitor, the last shred of hope on their side. But looking at this situation that they're in, really, FPX are just chilling like villains. 30 seconds left onto Baron, so at least for the next siege, FPX will not have the Baron buff available. Let's see what happens up here. Doingby, how does he close this distance between him and Gala? Looks like he just jumps forward, and just like that, although he is pushed back, he just gets absolutely annihilated by the Cathian Rain. And as everything just comes in onto where LWX was standing, he actually nearly survives, but is flashed onto there by Xiaohu. Good call coming in there from the top laner of RNG, who so far has had an absolutely horrible game and whose score really reflects the experience that he has had so far. Though he's decently well fed in terms of experience, especially compared to Crying. Crying is not too far behind in terms of the pain scale. As FPX in comes the final charge, I do believe quite literally as Doinby makes his way in, bumping right off onto Ming as he jumps forward, stunning out Gal, who's forced to rocket jump out of the fight. And will this be a beautiful last stand? Remember the Almo Gents as Doinby in the front line, indomitable as always, jumps off of Skarl, does have the God Drinker available as Tian is nearly kicked, rocketed, and thrown into his own Nexus. One kill down in favor of RNG. Could this be it? Really, doing B is kind of low, but Skarl is available as he steps forward. Ming engaging onto him as Xiaohu jumps forward as well. Nuguri and doing B just jumping into the back line. Ming takes a tumble first. Xiaohu separated from the rest of his team, kicks away LWX, but the killer instinct is there. Xiaohu takes a tumble as well. It goes from a 5v4 now into a 4v3 in favor of FPX as the flip comes through, Crying, dying at the steps of the fountain, but Wei has managed to take down LWX. Nuguri trying his best to get some kills as the only person really trying to end the game is Crisp, and eventually the Nexus will fall. Very kind of simple, cut, clear, and dry game coming out from FPX. Not too much that you'd expect. It was pretty one-sided from FPX and their star mid top jump. Everybody's a star at FPX. Everybody's a phoenix. And RNG, and in an awful nice little cheeky punch coming in there from Xiaohu on to LWX, not liking what happened there in the last moment in time, I suppose. Nice, it's all good banter. And while it's fun to commentate and while it's fun to watch at how one-sided some of these games might be, ladies and gentlemen, we can never forget how stressful it really is to be a pro player. And although the losses may look comical and sometimes may be funny some moments, it's really stressful, I do believe. Never been a pro player myself, don't even play very competitively when it comes to actual games. But the fact remains that we have to cut pro players some slack. We have to allow them some opportunities to open it, run it, and just have a little bit of fun. Because after all, if we don't enjoy what we do, then what the hell is the point, right? So thank you guys so much for watching, for, what's the word? When you indulging me in what I hope to be my future profession, I guess. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next series. See ya!